All right, at number 8, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have not made any moves, particularly within the NBA offseason, and we saw they got bounced in the first round against the Timberwolves as a 6 seed, getting swept within that matter. They did address their new head coach, Mike Budenholzer, who stated that Tyus Jones will be their starting point guard, moving Devin Booker to the 2, Bradley Beal to the 3, KD at the 4, then at 5, they're going to run Nurkic once again. I don't like that. Now, I'm glad that Devin Booker is finally playing his natural position as a combo guard 2 spot. I still want Kevin Durant to play the 3, which looks like that's not going to happen. They don't have size on this team. Nurkic has one of the worst playoff center records in the NBA. What was he, like 2-10 or 1-10 or something like that? He's not a true starting center for a championship caliber team. They need someone more like a Jonas Valanciunas on this team. But the Phoenix Suns are all over the place. You have young management and new owner that does not make the right moves. He's playing 2K, but not even in the right way within that. I want to see a good emergence from Grayson Allen, who's picked up muscle within this offseason, and I fully expect his three-point range shot to actually be even better this season. So watch out for that. But abundance of guards. Bradley Beal's typically injured. This team, I don't have respect for them. They'll be somewhat fun in the regular season, but they're gonna be a first-round exit. They're gonna be a play-in team. Hopefully they'll make the playoffs, but when in doubt, I'm gonna have them as an 8 seed coming down to that. All right, at number 7, I'm gonna go ahead and have the New Orleans Pelicans. This team has a lot of questions. I mean, for the last 5 seasons, when they brought in, their core foundation of Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and then they had some other young guys but traded them. But basically, it's been Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson for the last 5 seasons. They have not addressed true veterans to be placed on this team. Now, even though the last season or 2 they brought in CJ McCollum, I fully see him as pretty much a 6-man type guy if you want him as a championship contending piece for a team. Now, potentially he could play the 1 or 2, but I think he'd be best suited as a 6-man. But for this team, they don't have enough veterans or pieces to even make that transition as of right now. They did bring in Dejounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks, which the backcourt's going to be Dejounte and CJ McCollum. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not going to lie. Brandon Ingram, I don't see any urgency or superstardom from this guy in his career. I mean, I kind of see him as the Wiz Khalifa of the NBA. It is what it is. Zion Williamson lost weight, which is super eccentric within there, but let's see if he can finally stay healthy, shedding off all that weight, and finally making a playoff appearance to play. They don't have any NBA centers fully. They're running Daniel Tice at the 5, who's 6'8". They're going to get bullied by a lot of NBA teams, and especially in the West, you're going to have an abundance amount of NBA bigs. This team could make the playoffs, which is fine, but they're a first-round exit. It is what it is. They need to make changes. This is a no-brainer. Some of these NBA teams, I don't understand why they don't fill in these holes and these gaps. Whatever. All right. Where we at? At number 6, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Sacramento Kings. Now, this team last season finished off as a 9th seed, losing in the second round of the play-in tournament to the New Orleans Pelicans, which everyone pretty much expected the Kings. They should have won that game since Zion Williamson was hurt. With the Sacramento Kings, they were able to bring in DeMar DeRozan, a true veteran, who will play the 3 spot within this team. So I fully expect this team to make the NBA playoffs. Right now, I do see him as a first or second round exit, more so as a first round exit, because you have an abundance amount of great teams in the Western Conference. Trying to think a little more into this team. Malik Monk, last season, I know he was hurt, but he's going to have an emergence of the season. Let's see if they'll put him at the starting 2 or coming off the bench. But Malik Monk, definitely going to be in that top for most improved player as well. More within this team, they just need to work on more backup center and as well as backup power forward, but they have an emergence of pretty much combo guards within this team. So let's see which more moves they can make. But Sacramento Kings, with the addition of DeMar DeRozan especially, and for a backup season, they're going to be at least within that 6 seed range or so. All right, at number 5, this may be a shocker to people, and this is going to be a sleeper, but give mad respect to the Houston Rockets. Last season, they finished as the 11th seed at a 41-41 record. Within the last 2-3 weeks in the NBA last season, they made a huge stretch winning games. Ime Udoka, as their head coach, has proven himself as a defensive catalyst and a young coach who's able to build a foundation for respect for players and gain the most out of them. We've seen that. Sengun coming into his third NBA season, I fully expect a potential all-star appearance on his end, bringing in Steven Adams as a true veteran as well as his backup. And I like those moves within there. You do have Jabari Smith Jr. at the 4. You're able to have Tari Eason as a backup 4. This team has length, and they have veterans. Fred VanVleet at the point guard position, Jalen Green emerging as their 2, and as well as Dylan Brooks having kind of that quote-unquote chaotic alpha mentality as a shooter 3-and-D guy at their 3. I like their team. The Houston Rockets are going to make a huge splash next season. Fully expect them to win around 45 games at least. And they were able to pick up Reed Shepherd at their 3rd pick last season for shooting guard. So let's see within that as well. All right, where are we at right now? The top 4 teams in the NBA Western Conference hierarchy. So at number 4, I'm going to have the Denver Nuggets. Now, it seems like the last 3 seasons since they won the NBA championship, they've been kind of sliding a bit, which is true. You lost Bruce Brown, you lost KCP last season. You brought in Russell Westbrook, which I'm not huge and fond of. Looks like at the 2, they're going to run Christian Braun, unless they pick up someone else to run the 2 as well. They need to address their backup center position because you still have DeAndre Jordan and Zeke Naji within right there. You need to address the backup center. Let's see what else within this team. Same thing with their backup power forwards. I don't like pretty much the depth within this team. They're definitely going to take a step back. I expect them to be a 1st or 2nd round exit as of right now. But again, this is early in the season. Let's see what happens. And I'm not big and fond of Russell Westbrook being on that team. I believe it's too chaotic, but at the end of the day, whatever. At number 3, I'm going to have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, we saw the huge trade that they were able to bring in Julius Randle and as well as Dante DiVincenzo. And Dante is going to have a huge season for this team. I think Julius Randle will have a fine NBA season, energetic early in the season as well. But this team right now, I don't see a championship, quote-unquote, contending team fully. Let's see how that chemistry looks within their team. But they're still respectable. They made the conference finals last season. I don't like how they traded away Karl-Anthony Towns, but let's see how they look. But I see them as a tier 2 in the Western Conference. I fully expect them to make at least the 2nd round of the NBA playoffs. It is what it is within there. All right, at number 2 in the West, I'm going to have the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Dallas Mavericks last season went to the NBA Finals and lost to 5 games over the Boston Celtics. The Mavericks were one of the teams with the Pacers that were able to bring in last-minute huge NBA trade deadline moves, as we saw with PJ Washington at the 4 and then Daniel Gafford at the 5. Dallas is deep. I believe they're around at least 12 deep. I'm not going to lie when it comes to that. They were able to retain their pretty much same core. They let go of Derrick Jones Jr., which I think is going to be a big loss, but you brought in some other guys like Najee Marshall, Klay Thompson, who can pretty much make up in other ways as well. They were able to bring back Spencer Dinwiddie, who was on the team when they made the conference finals last following. So you have an abundance amount of guards. You have Luka, Spencer Dinwiddie, you have Kyrie Irving. They just let go of AJ Lawson. You have Quentin Grimes, who's going to be new. Klay Thompson's going to be at the 3. Dante Exum can play the 1, 2, or 3. Team's got length. And one of the other things, they have chemistry. And I fully expect a huge season for Derek Lively, which I fully expect him to still be as the backup center. But I fully expect Luka Doncic to actually be the favorite for MVP for this season. Potentially could reach a triple-double, but he's going to average at least 30 a game. All right, then at number 1, no one else than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the Thunder last season squeaked out as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, got bounced in the 2nd round to the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games. But now you have a new acquisition. Josh Giddey's gone. You brought in Alex Caruso to start the 2, a combo guard who has a championship, who was a defensive-minded guard at 6'5". And you were able to address a center position by having Isaiah Hartenstein. Let's see if Hartenstein will play as the 5 and Chet at the 4, or let's see what happens within there. But also expect Jalen Williams to potentially be the most improved player in the NBA. This team is deep, as we saw from last season. They have more playoff experience. and I think they're well suited for the regular season. I see them to potentially winning at least 60 games. So that's what I have within the NBA landscape in the Western Conference. Let's see what more moves that make upon, and we can change our minds then.